I'm so excited for this one because it's no secret that I love Schmincke watercolors, so forgive me if this watercolor review is a bit biased. About 6 years ago, when I first started working, I only had 2 watercolors with me, or 3, I'm not quite sure. The first artist watercolor I bought was the Winsor and Newton artist watercolors, and then before that I had the student grade transparent Grimbacker set and Sakura Koi that I just reviewed earlier. And then I went to an art store and saw a rather expensive German watercolor, which was Schmincke. I didn't really know what Schmincke was. I didn't know it was popular. I didn't bother researching it, and I wasn't as nerdy for watercolors as I am now, but I really liked the name and I liked the packaging, and the people in the store recommended to me that I should get it if I really want to try another brand of watercolors. It was a pretty good choice, so I bought it. And then I fell in love with it. I think it was just one of the best decisions I've ever done because it made me fall in love with watercolor even more. The sad thing is, though, even though I love the paint, I tried not to use it too often. There was an obsession to keep trying new paints to see if there was anything better than it, but to this date, even though I've tried more than maybe 20 or 30 brands out there, I still gravitated towards Schmincke. I never forget the first experiment with the Langton paper where I was playing around with color and I just watched the colors lay perfectly on top of each other. It was so bright and the lines were so clean. So I know, before I get ahead and start ranting about how much I love this product, I'll let you know that I'll be rating Schmincke watercolor in terms of availability, pigment information, transparency, cost, painting experience, and packaging. I decided that I'd start using this rating going forward so that I could have a more structured video and tell you everything, or at least everything that you have to know about a watercolor brand for first glance. So first I did a swatch so you can see the color range. And one stupid thing is whenever I buy pans before, I never bothered to preserve the pigment information, the individual wrappers that they come with. So now when I'm trying to make reviews for them, I have to check it out online. And the good thing is most of the artist watercolor brands have readily available pigment information, so it wasn't a problem to look it up. And Schmincke's individual pans come marked, so they have numbers on them, so you can easily reference it with their color chart. Schmincke's watercolor paints have the highest quality. It's one of the standards that people use when comparing different art brands, even with their gouache. Most of their colors are based off on one pigment, which makes for really brilliant pure tones. So I'll go more on this in the pigment information later, but in terms of availability, it's a 5 out of 5 for me, because you can pretty much find this paint being sold everywhere, but perhaps not all variations are available. You'll find the tubes, but you won't be able to find the 48 watercolor pan set easily. But you will be able to find the 12 pan set, and if you do ever want to purchase them, it's like in Amazon, you can just get it there, but I would suggest not to, especially if you're trying to save money, and it's a good idea to always check the shipping costs, whether or not it's better to buy it from a cheaper place like Jackson's in Europe versus getting it directly from wherever you are from. In terms of pigment information, it was very easy to find a list of pigment info, like I said, and if you ever discard the wrappers, the pans are labeled. The Horadam Aquarell line boasts 139 colors plus 1 oxcal, which I never really use. 95 of the 139 colors are pure pigments, and this usually makes the resulting color a bit less muddy because like you're mixing pure pigments. they're so brilliant when you start using them and mixing them. So I've never really had trouble in trying to mix several colors all together at once. Unless you're mixing like 5 or 7 colors, it's not a big deal. So as far as pigment information goes, it's a 5 out of 5. While Schmincke might have some opaque colors, a lot of the colors lay down really well, and it's fun to do glazing techniques with this one. So as far as transparency goes, I'll rate this a 5 out of 5. The one thing you might not like with Schmincke is the cost. So it's a bit expensive. It's pretty much high up there and literally one of the most expensive paints I've tried. So it would be a 3 out of 5, and the only reason why I'm giving it a 3 is because the quality is top notch. If there's a sale going on, that's the only time you should probably buy this paint. And as a tip, it might be a good idea to order paints, like I said, directly from Europe, especially if you're buying like 48 colors or you're buying tubes, because you might get a discount there. And you really get what you pay for with this one. I know that there are some paints out there where you buy them, it's quite expensive and you still don't get the quality that you paid for, but this isn't it. I did 3 paintings with Schmincke for this video, but since I've used this extensively in the past, I have like a ton of paintings that I made with it. These are 2 original pieces and they're not fan arts. The first is called Life in a Jar, where you have a mermaid trying to help out a snake plant. Snake plants are pretty amazing plants because they require little water and little sunlight. They also help filter the air. Most plants do, but it's listed as one of NASA's recommended air filtering plants, but you need a lot of these inside your apartment for it to work. For this painting, I enjoyed painting the water. I wanted to make this piece into a bookmark because I was watching a video made by Minnie the other day, so I just wanted to try my hand on it. I'm very stingy on these paints, so even though I wanted to turn the surrounding area black, I decided to use watercolor that I made myself, which is always fun to do. I have a ton of ivory black pigment from a sale from Sennelier, and it's not a difficult color to mix up, so I made a batch and I used that to cover the rest of the area around the bottle black. I know some watercolor artists don't like using black, but it just makes a piece pop sometimes. And even with digital art, black is like my go-to when I'm trying to pop out a character, though I'm trying to like explore other colors as well. But I love black as a color, even though it's not technically a color, it's the absence of color. So nerdy. Anyway, next I made a painting of an original character named Nemu. This one is a lot smaller, so it's a lot easier to paint. I'm also testing out my new watercolor brush from Winsor and Newton. Lately, I've been finding myself attracted to these transparent handles. It's the only reason why I bought it. But the brush holds a decent amount of water, but I feel like it's not as good as my silver black velvet brushes. Oh gosh, those brushes are so amazing. One day I might do a brush review because I already have a decent collection of them. Since I printed this piece out, there were a couple of ink stains and I didn't want to waste the paper because it was arches that I just cut up, and yeah, I just went ahead and tried to paint over it with some opaque paints in the set, and it worked out fine. So here's the finished piece. For the painting experience, obviously I'd give it a 5 out of 5. The range of colors in Schmincke is just so nice. You have some colors which are granulating, some which are just pretty plain, normal type, some are staining, some are not, some are opaque, and you really have to try them all out and see how they behave, because like it would be helpful to know which ones to use. And I definitely want to try all the colors in the range if I could, but it's so expensive, so maybe if Schmincke ever does send me one to review, I would definitely review it. Anyway, something I would like to tell you about Schmincke's pans is that it's like filled to the brim and it's so clean. And that's one thing I didn't like about the Winsor and Newton paints. They come in bars and they get chopped, and it always bothered me how it's not even. So for Schmincke, they pour the color into the pan 4 times, which is really nice. You can watch the video of how they produce the watercolor pans. It's on their website, and it's just I don't know, I really like those production videos, so cool. So let's talk about packaging. I love the packaging of the paints. It's standard packaging with standard metal case for the paints, but it also comes with a card that you can use to swatch the colors out. However, I noticed that the pans always stick to the mixing palette area, so for the first one I had to insert a card to stop this from happening. But for my 48 pan watercolor, I just let it be. I probably need to secure them better. So for that reason alone, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Also, like the mixing palette isn't flat on the ground, so if you put too much water, the water might spill, and the sides of the pan is a bit, I would say it's a bit sharp, but it's not going to cut you. You don't really buy this paint for the packaging anyway, you buy it for the quality of the paint. So all in all, I think it's a solid choice for anyone who is trying to do watercolor, even for a beginner, but definitely if you're a professional. Schmincke is one of those standard brands, and I've been wanting to try their gouache paints for a while because I've seen a review on YouTube that it's really good, but I might have to wait because these products are expensive. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to see more watercolor reviews. Bye!